It's all about awareness and also taking that time to explore, isn't it? We live in a world of doing, or a lot of people do, and just ignoring the emotions when they're here to show us something to clear in our bodies, in our world, in our life, so we can move forward with ease.
Because I had this subconscious fear that I couldn't have even put into words at the time, but I spent over 40 years pretty much not showing up for myself, not able to ask for what I wanted, and just really in that people pleaser mode.
Whatever experiences I experienced as a child, I felt this feeling of being left out, right?
Mm-hmm.
Not included. There must have been experiences at the time where it made me feel like I was less than and wasn't welcomed in the group.
I come to realize that all the emotional baggage and traumas and stuff that's coming up is to try and show me my boundaries. It's to show me where I should stop giving so much to these people. But I will always just give too much of myself. And it's that whole, you can't give from an empty cup. You have to fill your own cup first.
The old story of seen but not heard. So that was very much for us as children. So I became very loud and more or less aggressive, just so I'd be noticed, or I would do things that were really silly. I'd get in trouble, but trouble was better.
Hey everyone, it's Sophia from Sacred You. Thank you so much for being here. A quick message before we dive into today's discussion. You may have been watching our videos, but have not had a chance to hit that subscribe button. So if you have gained value from our conversations, from our channel, it would be so appreciated for us if you would hit that subscribe button below right now and even give us a like. What that means is not only does it allow us to grow our subscriber base, but it also allows us to bring in even more guests for you to listen to. And you will be one of the first ones to be notified. So please hit that subscribe button and let's get started on today's wonderful panel discussion.
Hello, welcome to Ignite Your Inner Power, conversations that transform. So here with me today, I have an incredible panel of experts in the healing and wellness and spiritual realm. And today we have an amazing topic I'm really excited about. It's, are your emotions filtered or unfiltered? Where our emotions come from. And this is really a topic that's close to my heart because my name is Jo Anne Irwin and I am an empowerment coach. I work with women primarily. My specialty is in overwhelm and anxiety. And I use healing modalities and practices and frequencies and energies to help transform women. And I love, because this is part of that transformation, really working with the emotions and understanding how they are running us essentially. So I've been in the healing and wellness industry for over 40 years. 37 of them have been in the coaching realm. And it's just been incredible to see people transform. So I'd love for our panel to introduce themselves and share a little bit about what you do and how what your passions are, or anything you want to share, where you're from as well. That would be really cool to know. So let's start with KATHRYN.
Unmute myself there. Hi, so I'm KATHRYN. I'm currently living in Melbourne, Australia, having moved here about 18 months ago from New Zealand. But as you can tell from the accent, originally 20 years ago from the UK. So I've done a couple of international moves there. But I'm a root cause therapist and a trauma-informed coach. And especially over the last year and a half, when I became an empty nester, I've actually become really passionate about supporting women going through sort of those difficult life transitions, just to help them get through it with grace and compassion, and generally just being kind to themselves. So that's my biggest passion in terms of the clients that I work with.
Wonderful. Thank you, KATHRYN, and welcome, welcome. It's so nice to have you here. I can feel that a lot of us are going to be aligned in what we do and how we work in the world. So it's exciting to have you, all of you here. Elizabeth, please introduce yourself. Give us a wave. There we are.
Hi, everyone. Hi, Jo Anne. Thank you. And I'm so blessed and honored to be here with all of you. I can feel you all. And this is going to be so incredibly impactful. So I'm Elizabeth Gifford MAFEI, and I live in Central Florida outside of the Orlando area, but I do work worldwide. And I am passionate about assisting people to be able to let go of that, whatever it is has been holding them down, whether it's through past lives, or I like to say alternative lives, right? And moving them forward and giving them the tools that are perfect for them, either individuals or couples. I do work with couples as well. I am a quantum growth practitioner and Reiki master. I'm also a numerologist and angelic healing practitioner. So I work with lots of tools to help people to find what's going on in the cellular level, including the etheric cellular level.
So I'm Becca. This is my first time on any kind of panel, so thank you for having me. This is one of 4 with you guys, so I'm very much looking forward to this first one. I'm currently in Canada. I'm a few hours southwest of Toronto, but as you can as well probably tell from the accent, like KATHRYN, I'm also from the UK. I'm from London, England. Yeah, I've been in Canada now about 13 years. I have always, and when I say always, I was pretty much born as a healer and into magic and into the unknown and all of that good stuff. So this has been a lifelong learning, still learning today. I do various forms of healing like massage and Reiki and reflexology, crystal healing, all of those, and I love them. I do tarot cards and oracle cards as well. And my current favorite is the Akashic Records, which is just incredible because anybody can do it. And that's such a good thing for anybody, because you can go in and you can find out what's blocking you. You can find out what you should be doing, like what your life mission is, any past life stuff like Elizabeth does, any past life stuff that's blocking you right now, any traumas in this life. And yeah, so this is all the stuff that I do. And I'm really looking forward to doing this panel today because it's something that I work with a lot, emotions and how they're stored in the body. Yeah, I'm really interested to hear what the rest of you have to say and all the input that you have in your own work as well. So thank you.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. And you'll be a novice before you know it. So welcome, welcome. And the beautiful Denise, who I've had the privilege of working with over the time we've known each other in Sacred You. And I believe this is your topic. So let's hear from you, gorgeous.
Thank you. Yeah, it's been beautiful working with you as well. I'm Denise and I do energy healing. I work with people who are seeking to find themselves, and I work from a heart-centered space in love, truth, and being able to hold ourselves in compassion and love and truth and walk through the shadows. And I love to get to the root cause because that's the beginning of everything. And it doesn't matter if it's the root cause of ourselves, ancestral, past lives, like working in the quantum field and really bringing people back to really know themselves and giving them all that I know so they can go off and do it for themselves and really pass that on to their families, their friends, to really unlock not just themselves, but the next generations. And when we do it for ourselves, we unlock the past generations as well to heal. Yeah.
Amazing. Oh, I love that so much. My heart is full already. Thank you so much, everyone, for sharing that. And as we explore these hidden layers today and the emotional world that we're all living in, essentially but today is more about through the lens of our spiritual awakening and our inner healing, our inner evolving. So they're not just fleeting moments, are they? They're real things that we experience as human beings on the planet. So let's dive in, because I've got quite a few stories, quite a few questions I have for you today, which I'm really excited to get into. And the first one I'd like to start with is really understanding from your perspective the concept of filtered and unfiltered. And from your perspective and understanding, what does that really mean? And how would a person that's watching this as really just brand new in diving into the spiritual world, how could you discern them for them as well, or recognize it? So why don't we go backwards this time, and let's start with Denise. That's okay.
Thank you. For me, it's really about especially when we're starting with ourselves and we've taken that step into that self-responsibility and really knowing, where am I coming from? Because usually we work on the outside of ourselves, trying to look for the answers outside, and it's really coming back home to ourselves and recognizing what our emotions are. What do they look like? How are they playing out? And when I talked about filtered and unfiltered, it was really about, am I coming from my head or my heart, or am I being reactive? When my emotions I'm playing out here, am I reacting to them or am I exploring them? When I'm reacting to them, I react the same way I always have without questioning them. But when I'm coming back to myself, I'm actually going, oh, okay, that was really unkind what I just did to myself and also to the person that it was directed at. What is that?
Yeah.
Where does that come from? Really looking at that. What's my heart saying about it? It's making me sad, but I'm acting out in anger or frustration or just exploding for what I feel is no reason, but there's always something that is underlying. So coming back to myself and asking myself the questions, and what am I running that through? Am I running that through my heart or what I know or what I've been told? So there's just so many different layers to it. And it's tricky when you first recognize that this is, because we feel as though we're going nuts. We're going crazy because it's a mixture. It's because, and really taking the control back and not blaming myself or anybody else.
Yeah, I love
Yeah.
that. I love it. It's almost like it's an automatic response, isn't it? It's a reaction really, but we want to get it to that response and understanding, what, or discern what's what in the reality of what's coming out. I love this part about, is it coming from my heart? That's just a beautiful way to reframe it, isn't it? Yeah. So thank you for that. Becca, what would you like to share around that question of the meaning of filtered and unfiltered from your perspective?
Yeah, well, it's quite similar, I think. I think for me, filtered is when you're literally filtering your emotions. You're not being true to yourself. You're not showing exactly how you feel about something. So that could still be an explosive anger or something, but it could also be that you're angry inside, or you know that you need to be putting up a boundary, but to keep the peace, or because you don't think that you're allowed to react the way that you want to react, you just say, okay, we'll just leave it. Or, oh no, that's fine. No, I'm calm, I'm happy with that. And you're not. So you're filtering how you're really feeling. You don't want to project that and show people that. Now, that's not to say that your unfiltered is necessarily that explosive and allowing yourself to do that, but the unfiltered is getting into a zone where you can really go inward and feel that emotion and identify it and find out what it is that it's trying to tell you. Is it trying to protect you? Is it trying to help you release some things? What is it? And by just going in there and listening, you're then going to be able to be unfiltered. You're going to be unapologetic. I think that's also a good word there, is unapologetic in how you're feeling about something. You still don't have to trash the house, but you can be angry and you can feel it and you can release that.
Yes,
This is
love that, in a healthy way.
in
And
a
it's
healthy way, exactly.
yeah, and it's so what you brought to the table there is about how we suppress our emotions and just to keep everybody else happy in a way. And I think that's something that's been running through us, particularly as women, for generations, because my mum used to always say, she could see she was just keeping the peace and she wasn't able to express how she was feeling. And eventually, we know what happens there. She passed away, my mum, at 61 from all that suppressed emotions, I believe. And yeah, so that's a really important piece, isn't it? Thank you for that. KATHRYN. Oh, I went the other way. You're on my left. That's okay. We'll come back to you, Elizabeth. KATHRYN.
So Denise and Becca have already done like an amazing job.
Yeah.
And I resonate so much with what both of you said. For me, with root cause therapy that I do, that's one of the main things we do is actually going back and not just finding the very first event, but finding the emotions that are still attached to that event. And Denise said about the reaction rather than responding. This is where it comes from. So we might explode over something or get really hurt by something that in the grand scheme of things, maybe that particular thing wasn't huge, but it triggered like an old wound and an old emotion that all of a sudden we're not just, okay, this person has said this to me. All of a sudden it brings back all of the hurt, the shame, the guilt that we're carrying within our nervous systems and within our subconscious mind. And that's where I feel so much of those patterns that we fall into and the things that really trigger us comes from.
Yeah. I love that. And Denise said it too, going back to the root cause, tracing it back to where it stemmed from and healing it, transmuting it from there. Yeah, absolutely. I love that. Thank you, KATHRYN. It's beautiful. And that work you do. Elizabeth, you got anything to add around that hasn't already been said or?
These lovely ladies are totally spot on, but Spirit just dropped down for me a vision of sunglasses, filtered sunglasses, where sometimes we only see the certain things that we want to see or experience the certain things that we want to experience. And that's those filtered emotions where, as everyone has described, there is reactivity. You're being reactive rather than proactive, taking your sovereignty back, taking the reins back. And these filtered emotions, when I work with clients and for me and how I work and understand it, is that it can be rooted in fear or very often, because I do work with some people who are struggling with addictions, is survival patterns. We learned those patterns, and that's exactly what KATHRYN and everyone was describing, is going back to the root cause. What started this pattern of behavior that you may not recognize that you've buried in fear? And these emotions can get stuck and do get stuck in the physical body. If you put your hands over on the right side of your body, that is your liver, right? And in there, we carry anger. And it could be anger from a very long time ago that we're not even aware. We could be happy and smiling, but we're carrying anger. Or on the left side of your body is your spleen. You carry worry or concern. Have you ever seen someone who is mourning the passing of someone and they keep saying, I can't breathe, I can't breathe? Grief is carried in the lungs and so forth. There are lots of other places in our body that we carry different emotions. That's the filtered part. That's exactly what everyone is talking about, is it comes through a lens of other people's stories or our own stories that we've created that are untruths. But the unfiltered emotions are our real truth, our intuitiveness. When we clearly hear our own consciousness and not from the filter of others.
Wow. Yeah, very well articulated there as well. Thank you so much. Being the sunglasses, being the, I guess, the metaphor there for how we look at the way we see our emotions, and really having that going back and unlocking it from that place of what you interpreted that had happened at the time and turn that into the emotional response. So thank you so much. Beautiful. I would love to ask you now, Elizabeth, if you'd like to continue, we'll just stay on you, is when you look back on, and I know all of us have been doing this work for many years, so it may be difficult because we're in a different realm right now, or a different space of time in our life where we've healed a lot of the things. But if you look back on how, your emotional pain, did your emotional pain in your life signal a deeper need or an unhealed wound? When we're talking about wounding just now, I thought that was a really good segue to how did that emotional pain signal that in your body, or what happened? Is there a specific experience?
So I think we've all experienced lots of different things. The first thing that comes to mind for me is whatever experiences I experienced as a child, I felt this feeling of being left out, right? Not included, not being in the group. Yes, I had friends and small communities and things like that, but there must have been experiences at the time where it made me feel like I was less than and wasn't welcomed in the group. And that's something that I had to work through myself. We all have to, as healers, have to work through that. But that it can really mess you up. It can mess you up in everything because you have difficulty moving forward. You have difficulty standing up for yourself. You put yourself in a place where you're giving too much of your energy and not receiving. There's an imbalance. And that's what these emotional challenges are, an imbalance. So that's the first thing that I think about is that old wound, if you will, of not feeling like I belonged.
Yeah, wow. I think a lot of people can relate to that as well, because growing up, we're told, and particularly when we're in the traditional school systems, be seen, not heard. You have to wait to be put yourself forward. You can't just be a child, basically, just in that one scenario, but also in the family. I remember I was one of six, so it was really hard to be seen and heard. But thank you for sharing that. KATHRYN, do you have something to share around that question? Would you like me to read it again?
Yes, please. Yeah.
So when you look back now, how did emotional pain in your life signal a deeper need or an unhealed wound?
So the big one for me, I actually lost my dad to cancer when I was just 4. And until I actually started doing my own healing work, once I got on this journey, I didn't actually realize just how much it had impacted everything. Obviously, when you lose someone, we all know there's the grief there and things like that. But for me, I was able to then see a pattern of just the fear of abandonment, the staying in relationships longer than I should because I just wanted to hold on. I didn't want to be left again. And I think Elizabeth already touched on it as well in terms of a bit of people pleasing, that whole, because I had this subconscious fear that I couldn't have even put into words at the time, but I spent over 40 years pretty much, yeah, not showing up for myself, not able to ask for what I wanted, and just really in that people pleaser mode because I was so afraid of being left again. And obviously, logically, I can say he didn't choose to leave, but it still sits in the body in the same way that I've been left, I've been abandoned. And for me, that was the biggest one. And it impacted me, not just in personal relationships, but even in things that happened in a workspace where I ended up in a toxic work situation. So it's really been hugely impactful. And it's only really been in maybe the last 3 or 4 years that I've got to the point where I'm not coming from that place of fear so much.
Yeah, that's beautiful. Wow. I resonate with that so much because it's one of my biggest wounds too. And been recently traveling through that and not wanting to leave because
I think that's where the empty nester thing has really hit me this last year and a half.
yeah.
Because on the one hand, I'm so excited for them and then going off doing their journeys, but then I'm left behind. And
What next? What for me? Yeah.
yeah, very much. Again, it's stirred up a bit of that in this last year and a half that I've been working through.
That's amazing. So well done, you. And I know Denise was talking about that piece as well. And I love, yeah. Denise, do you want to open up your mic? Because something's telling me that you need to speak.
What came forward for me was as a child, and which I brought all this into my adulthood as well, is that I was never heard. My wounding was about that I was insignificant. So it was really about no one would hear me. The old story of seen but not heard. So that was very much for us as children. And so I became very loud and more or less aggressive. In a sense, to be heard, I would get in trouble just so I'd be noticed, or I would do things that were really silly. I'd get in trouble, but trouble was better than
Not being
to
seen.
be avoided or not listened to or whatever. So that very much, I carried that right through, even when I had children, that real demanding of being heard. So that caused a lot of chaos as well, and a lot of hurt for my children as well, because that I hadn't worked through that until they were in their teens. So I started then when it became, oh, what am I doing? I don't want to be doing this anymore. And then recognizing, and when you start out, what's going on? And then we seek people to find out the answers, and we can do that, but it's really coming back and saying, why do I do that? Why do I behave like that? What is it that makes me do that? Oh, I remember this when this happened when I was a child. So I always say that what's happening here is from the core is back here, and I've just carried that belief and acted out on that the whole time. So it was about really following that thread down to where it was all coming from. And I love working with people to the core of it, because I can do it layer by layer, but it's not going to change. But when I go to the core and follow that thread and find that core, the age, and it's never about the event that happened. It was always about the emotions I never had the opportunity to feel or express. Because even though I'm acting out, I'm not expressing my truth. I'm not expressing what I'm really feeling and want them to hear. I'm just being naughty because that's the only thing I knew how to do to get attention. We look at children, they're the perfect example on how their reactions is they're saying, hey, I want you to pay attention. I need you to love me, or I need you to listen to me. So getting back to that core and feeling all those emotions that I never had the opportunity to feel. And like you said, it can get really messy. I felt out of my depth. I felt all over the place because this is the only thing I knew how to behave. So that behavior, I didn't know anything else. So how am I supposed to be now? So you have all of that as well. But once I got to the core of it and really felt through that, held myself in such loving compassion, the impact wasn't there anymore. So when I came up to be heard, I was actually heard. I didn't have to behave in a manner to be heard. I was just heard. And then your truth starts to come out.
Goosebumps. Goosebumps. I love that. And it takes us back to that, what you first said in the beginning about taking responsibility. It doesn't really matter when you take that responsibility, but like KATHRYN said, 3 years ago or 4 years ago, she decided it was time and to take that personal responsibility and look for what was blocking you or blocking us essentially from moving forward in our life. So I love that. Thank you so much, Denise. That's a beautiful piece to add there. And now you can be authentically you. Oh, what came up for me is when you were talking there is I so relate because I remember writing a letter to my 4 children about how I was, and that's not who I truly was, and how much I loved them, even though I was harsh and angry and all the things and frustrated, as a part of the healing process for me personally. So thank you for bringing that through.
Yeah, and on that as well, I also went up to my children and I said, I can't change anything, but I'm so sorry you had to go through that.
Yeah. Wow.
Because I never showed up for myself. But in turn as well, now it's up to you to move forward and take that not as a wound, but looking at that yourself. So
Yeah.
it's such a beautiful action to think that we can break the chains for them so they come through anew and know themselves better. And we change it also for the past generations that go, whoa, what's this girl doing? Oh, is that what I need to do? So they can also heal themselves as well.
Yes. I was going to bring that piece. Thank you for bringing that generational piece, because now we're doing it different for our grandchildren. It's a whole different story when I'm with my grandchildren. Oh, that was beautiful. Thank you. Oh, Becca, please add your piece to that if you feel called, or do you want to move on to another question?
Yeah, but first off, I'd just like to say that thank you so much for sharing that, you two, because in my work, and I'm sure in all of your works as well, it's so much the time right now where people are healing the traumas and the emotional traumas and such energetic traumas right now, and they're going back and they're healing their line, and then, as you said, like their grandchildren now don't have to deal with that, their children don't need to deal with that anymore, and that's happening so much right now, and it's so beautiful to watch that in everybody. So yeah, you're doing fantastic. That's so good. So for me, with the emotional pain, I would probably say that I tended, I should say, to always be around a lot of toxic people, like whether that be relatives or friends at school, even romantic relationships. I stay in romantic relationships for way too long, like long after it's obviously not working. It's obviously they're not a nice person. I will stay. And I've come to realize that all the emotional baggage and traumas and things and stuff that's coming up is to try and show me my boundaries. It's to show me where I should stop giving so much to these people, even if they're they don't have to be a toxic person. They can be a nice, loving person, but I will always just give too much of myself. And it's all that whole, you can't give from an empty cup. You have to fill your own cup first. And it's only, honestly, even though I've been doing this work forever, it's always been for other people. And I'm like, I don't need to do it for me. Like, I don't deserve to do it for me, is what I always thought. It's only, honestly, in the past year and a bit that I have truly sat down with myself and truly looked into the boundaries I need to be putting up. And I've done a lot of self-worth, self-love, all of this stuff, which I've never truly done for me before. It's always encouraging everybody else to do that. It's always helping other people to achieve this. And so for me, honestly, my emotional pain is to show me that I'm worthy, to show me that I need to take some time for me. I can still be a good person and I can still help others, but I need to do it from a healed self.
Oh my gosh, I love that. I love that, because our outer world is a reflection of our inner world, isn't it? So it's a good indicator of what's been shown to be looked at and to work with. Absolutely gorgeous. I wonder if we can continue on that theme with you, Becca, and with this next question about the role that self-awareness or spiritual practices, because you already tapped into that, play in helping you move from that emotional confusion to emotional clarity.
Yeah, absolutely. It's so incredibly important. Your soul is so pure and so full of love, and we are totally disconnected a lot of the time because we're in this 3D reality. We have the stresses and the mundane all the time, and we forget the power within us, the true selves within us. And so this is something that's so important, and everyone's going to have their own ways of discovering their own true self. They're going to find the best ways for them. Some people it's meditation, some people it's a group work thing. There's so many different things, and you need to find the thing or the couple of things that work so well to be able to connect. And because emotions are not your enemy. It's like how illness and disease is not your enemy. It's your body is trying to communicate with you. It's trying to tell you what's wrong and what's right with life and with your thoughts, with the way that you're pursuing things. Maybe you're going off in completely the wrong direction. You'll be told. Your guidance team, your body, your soul will be telling you all the time. And you need to find your unique way of communicating with that, of listening to that. And yeah, there's just so many things that people can do.
Yeah. Do you
And
have a go-to?
yeah,
Do you have a go-to? What was your first?
right now, my thing is the Akashic Records, honestly, because it's so unlimited. I can just jump in and just say, hey, guides, what's going on? Where did this stem from? Or what do I need to do? And because I've done it so often, it's just in and out. Yeah. And if I really can't for some reason do that, I will do just a hand on heart kind of thing, and even hand on just under the belly button, and just breathing and closing and just connecting. If you only have 2 seconds, just try that. Just
That's
why am I feeling that? Why is that coming up for me? Without judgment, without any sort of harshness towards yourself. What is that really trying to tell you? Because it's not trying to be mean. It's not trying to make you upset. It's not trying to make you feel anything. It's just wanting to communicate with you.
beautiful. It's a really gentle, compassionate way to give back to self, just taking that moment to breathe, yeah, and feel.
Yeah.
I love that. Thanks, Becca. Elizabeth, let's go back to you. So what role did self-awareness or spiritual practices play in helping you move from that emotional confusion to emotional clarity?
I love that. Which practices? There's so many.
I know.
I love having so many things in the toolbox, and I know everyone here does. We have all different toolboxes. I want to say about emotions and I think Becca was saying, it was either Becca or Denise, please forgive me, that emotions are not your enemy, they're your friend. And think of it as motion. And that's how we manifest things, right? I think and I know Becca was talking about being in the 3D world, and that's probably why I felt ostracized as a kid, is because I was working from other places and was different, right? And maybe didn't feel accepted or didn't fit in because my vibration or our frequencies weren't quite aligned with everybody else who was around, just the regular kids playing in the playground. And so those emotions help us to have motion, to manifest, to create, to bring things to fruition, and to make things happen. So I think it's really it's such a good thing. And being aware of that. One of the things that I practice and I offer for my clients is numerology. Again, that's the study of what are the numbers that you carry with you in your birthright in this particular dimension, in this particular body that you have decided to incarnate into, and how do those frequencies align? Are you, for example, I was working with an attorney quite a while ago and did her chart for her, and she was so loved being an attorney, but she was so miserable because she was working in a firm that all it was about money, bring in more clients, bring in more clients, bring in more clients, make the money, and she was miserable. When I did her chart, she found out that she is a compassionate humanitarian. And so you see how that frequency didn't align. And so she decided to move to a different firm. And what they did was they advocated for people who wanted to get their green card. Do you see how she still had the love of what she wanted to do, but the frequency was off? And so her emotions were blocked while she was working because there was this resistance because she didn't learn about herself.
Yeah.
And I think that and so many other tools that we all use are very helpful.
Yeah, beautiful. Thank you, Elizabeth. I love that story. That makes so much sense about being in alignment with what we want and who we are at our core, at our soul level. Thank you so much. KATHRYN.
Sorry, I keep muting myself because I'm coughing a lot today.
That's okay. It's good to be muted sometimes.
Yeah.
You okay to talk?
Yeah, no, I'm all good. So I guess for me, it's more the self-awareness side of things for me that really made a change. And in all honesty, the majority of that came through the modalities that I've trained in over the last several years. And one that I'm just currently finishing up actually is embodied processing. And that one in particular, just really that whole any emotion is welcome. That's very much what we say within a session. Every emotion is welcome here, whether that's anger, sadness, happiness. All of them have, like Becca mentioned, all of them have their role to play. They're all coming up to tell us something. And yeah, I was interested to see actually, Becca, you mentioned something that I also do to just ground myself, and that's the kind of hand on the heart and then the other hand just below the belly button and just taking those deep breaths. And the other one I do is I actually just give myself like a self hug. So if I am feeling overwhelmed and if I'm in a position to be able to do it without people looking at me and wondering what's going on, I can sit there and just give myself that gentle self hug, take a few breaths, and just recognize. Obviously, we're talking all about emotions today, but recognize. So, where did that emotion come from? What is it that has suddenly got me so triggered? And just taking, not only having developed the self awareness over the last few years through the training I've done, but also just taking that time to sit with myself and explore, just look at it compassionately, that compassionate inquiry of, okay, what's going on for me? What exactly am I feeling? And where has that come from? Why did X, Y, or Z make me feel that way?
Yeah, beautiful. Beautiful. And it's all about awareness and also taking that time to explore, isn't it? We live in a world of doing, or a lot of people do, and not, and just ignoring the emotions when they're here to show us something, something to clear in our bodies, in our world, in our life, so we can move forward with ease. And such an important piece to recognize when they're coming up and making that time to explore what that is. But the other part of this, and this will be a last question because I'm looking at the time like we could talk all day on this topic. So much, right? There's so many layers, and it's about masking. So let's see if we can get through this one. And tell me, let's start with Denise. Have you ever mistaken like a filtered emotion, like, because you know how we have the layers of emotions underneath emotions, and sometimes we come out like anger, but truly we're sad. There's this deep sadness that we haven't even looked at or felt, and there's a real emotion underneath. Have you had any experience with that, Denise?
Yeah, I'd like, yes, and like you all said before, awareness of ourselves allows us to go, we can see that awareness that we have that, because we go to anger straight away, or we go we go up or down. And they're both okay. And I think we need to normalize the uncomfortableness that we feel. We need to normalize that, oh, I'm feeling angry. I can't express that. Not at anybody, but I can express that. Don't aim it at anybody, but I can express the anger that I'm feeling. But the anger is the mask. So it's about what's underneath the anger. And like you said, it could be sadness. And then we go to the layer and we keep going underneath. So, you know, what I use, okay, you're angry. So what is in that anger? What's the emotion in that anger that you feel? And then you keep asking those questions down and down. Okay, I'm feeling angry, but how am I really feeling? Well, I'm feeling sad. Okay, I'm really feeling sad. So what's the sadness? Because sometimes I'm feeling sad, but I can't express that. So let's ask what's under the sadness. No one's listening to me.
Yeah.
And keep asking that same question and get really comfortable with the uncomfortableness of it. Because in the uncomfortableness is the magic. Because I've got to go through that darkness or go through all of this to find the message that I am enough. Because as I said, mine was about I was insignificant and finding that magic that I've got to believe that I'm significant. I don't have to believe what anybody else says. Doesn't matter if they think that I'm insignificant. I have to know and love myself to know that I am significant.
Gorgeous.
So it's the mask. We've got to get under those masks of what I'm portraying, the anger, but what's the anger really saying? And then what's that sadness? Or if I'm in hyper, I go up, I'm so excited because I have to always be happy because that's what I've been told.
And trained.
That's a mask in itself.
Mm.
So am I really happy? Oh, I'm doing it because everyone else wants me to be. That's how I make friends, or that's how I'm accepted because I don't feel accepted. So it's about seeing what those masks are and awareness, that self-awareness and that self-curiosity and that self-discovery is the most important thing for us to be doing. And people go, oh, that's really selfish. You're concentrating on yourself. But that's the magic. We look at, I always go back to children don't mask anything until they're taught to. And when you think of the human race, we are brought up fighting for our spot. So we pack mask after mask. So our children grow up not knowing who they are. So we grow into adults. So our emotions, we go to anger or go the other way. We put on all these masks to cover ourselves because we truly don't know who we are.
Yeah, beautifully said. Thank you, Denise. So much in that. I'm sure our listeners are we can unpack it. So watch the replay over and over because there's a lot that we need to really embody here. Becca, do you want to share a bit your piece around that?
Sure. Yeah, my last relationship, my last romantic relationship was with a narcissist, and I didn't realize that until it ended, and it ended very badly. But even during the relationship, I kept losing and losing a lot of myself. And so I didn't want anyone to know that. So I very much masked everything. So on the outside, it all looked good. And inside, even though I didn't know what was happening, I realized that I was losing myself. Anyway, fast forward to once that was over, it didn't end there, right? I was extremely angry and I was extremely in despair, but I was still masking that. I still didn't want to show the world or myself what that was. And like I said, in the last year or so, I've literally now been taking time for me and doing that whole self-care stuff. And it's really come to the service that it's the sadness. It's the sadness of losing myself in those 10 years, of allowing that to happen. But it's also that loss of control, that giving that control to somebody else. Control over my life and my emotions and my mental health and everything was all given to somebody else, right? Everything. So it's the anger and the despair it's not there to keep me in the horrible toxic environment that I had been in. It was to show me, as I said before, about boundaries that I needed to be putting in, about the love that I needed to show myself, because I was worthy and I am worthy of showing myself love and receiving that from others as well. And this is so important. This is what a lot of people are told now, as like some of you said, society tell us that we shouldn't be heard, we shouldn't be seen, we shouldn't show our emotions, we shouldn't put ourselves first, we shouldn't go off and do spa days for ourselves because we want to just give ourselves some self-love or whatever. Oh, that's very selfish of you, you should be doing whatever else it is. And when did that happen? When did society decide that was the right thing? So it needs to be something now that people come back to, that they reconnect with themselves, because to reconnect with yourself can raise your vibration higher, which in turn attracts more things to you, more people to you in that same vibration, and you are happier. You don't have to strive for the love and the allowing other people to come into your lives that are not people that are going to help you forward or to love you or just appreciate you. You're going to be bringing in people that are naturally drawn to your beautiful energy and will rise you up even more.
Yeah, beautifully said. Self-care isn't selfish, it's essential for raising our vibration and being the person that we want to be, and energetically affect those in contact so that you can choose differently. And we don't know until we know, right? Like,
Exactly.
we have to go through it to get to that point. So thank you for that. You've all been so very vulnerable today with your shares. It's so beautiful and gorgeous to, yeah, for others to know your story as well. Elizabeth, have you got anything to add there?
Just a couple of brief things. You all have triggered lots of thoughts to share with others, and this is such a luscious community here today. So thank you. I'm graced. So when we're with toxic people, as Becca was talking about, they can drain us. They drain our energy. And we can choose to, when we feel that, when we recognize that it's not us, but that others are leaching energy from us, we can cut the energetic cords and those attachments. It doesn't mean that we don't ever have to talk with them again, but it just means that what we're doing is we're asking to reclaim our power back, reclaim our sovereign energy. And I was so blessed to grow up in such a beautiful, loving home with wonderful parents, but I recalled a sentence that I always heard over and over again: if you can't say something nice, don't say anything at all. And on the outset, you think about that and you're like, yes, because you want to be a good person and be kind and say kind things and never say anything mean or hurtful. And of course, no one wants that. And yet what that does is it cuts a part of our throat chakra and it tells us that we can't express discernment. We can't express being taken advantage of. We can't express if someone is mean to us. We just have to close it. And then we're afraid to express it because we're afraid that someone won't like us or will disapprove of us or will disappoint someone or will succeed or fail. I always see that there's some kind of a fear, as we've all been talking about the root cause. There's some kind of a fear there. And really, I think one of the best things you can do is to make a decision to set clear boundaries, meaning set your own standards and say, you don't have my permission to treat me that way. You have my permission to be in my energy. Reclaim yourself as sovereign, and it is not selfish. It is self-preservation.
Yes. Oh, I love that. Thank you so much. I think that saying is ingrained in nearly everyone, isn't it? My mum is, you can't say anything nice, don't say it at all. I'm like, oh, okay. Cut off. And the other night, Sunday night, I actually had a healing session for exactly the heart chakra with a beautiful channeler from the UK. So thanks, Elizabeth. That is such an important piece. KATHRYN, last participant to share today. What would you like to add there?
Going back to, in the original question, you talked about anger masking sadness.
Yeah.
And I think often it's so much easier to lash out, how verbally, physically, whatever it might be, but to lash out at someone else in that anger than it is to actually feel the sadness that maybe you've got going on underneath. And one of the things that I mentioned, the embodied processing before, one of the things we talk about is it's not just finding, so Denise mentioned, okay, what's underneath the anger, what's underneath the sadness and those layers, but it's also not just getting down to, okay, I'm feeling sadness. It's about what does that in particular mean for me? What am I making that mean for me? What's the story that I've created for myself? So it might be that when we go past the anger, past the sadness, right underneath what we might be telling ourselves is, I'm not good enough, or I'm not worthy of love, or something along those lines. And it's getting to that core belief that's almost underpinning so many of these emotions. And that's where you can then, okay, so if I'm making that mean I'm not good enough, yeah, so what's coming up for me with that? I feel really sad. I feel like I'm never going to be happy. I need to people please. And it's finding all of those beliefs and what those emotions, what we've made them, the stories that we've taken from them. They're never just, here's an emotion. It's, okay, I'm feeling that emotion, and this is what I made it say about me. And it's never true. It's just the story that we have created from it. We've made that meaning from it.
Yes, such an important piece. Thank you. Such an important piece. Limiting beliefs, like what we make it mean and the stories we attach that are really most likely untrue. But we may have evidence that it's true because of the experiences that we've had in the past. But also it links to pain, doesn't it? What's the pain I don't want to see in that? And then there's a whole nother area we haven't even tapped in today of trauma, working with people with trauma. Like, yeah, so that's a big piece. And I'm personally, experienced that myself so I can work with it. And I love the healing that happens from that place. And all the things that you've all shared with us today is so valuable and so important. And you are doing such incredible work in the world. And I love you all for that, because it takes many of us to do this, right? It's brave work. It takes courage to step outside of ourselves and not only heal ourselves, but heal others. So I want to thank you so much from the bottom of my heart. And I know we're on time, and I'm not sure whether we have a minute just to go around. I'm sure Sacred You will let us go around the room quickly, and all of your links will be in the chat so people can find you if they want to find out more or work with you. So that's great. But is there one line that you would love to just give to our audience today that to take away with to wrap this up? Let's start with Becca.
Yeah, like I always just want everybody to know just how powerful that they are. And once you realize that, you can really just shape your reality. Like you don't need to, in this context, you don't need to run from your negative emotions. They're there to help you. And once you confront them, once you can have a conversation with those negative emotions, you're going to feel a lot better, but you're also going to bathe more in your positive emotions. And this all comes from the true power that you hold within you and how you're shaping your own reality.
Raise your vibration, girl. Raise your vibration. Love that. Thank you. Denise.
Yeah, thank you. It's been beautiful. Mine is really connect with yourself and really know thyself.
Love that.
Intimately. No one's going to know you more than yourself. And the more that you open yourself to feel the discomfort and travel that road and bring you back to harmony, the more you will open up and know more about yourself, because we all can do this. We all have the tools to self-heal on a physical, emotional, spiritual, universal way. We've just all forgotten because in the generations past, they left it all behind. But yeah, so it's about coming home to ourselves and know ourselves intimately. Love is the strongest force of the universe. So just be open to receive that.
Yeah, love that. You said that beautifully. I was going to say, come home to self, and you already said it. That's beautiful. We're in tune. Elizabeth, parting words, last parting words.
I'd love to just say one word, love, but I will share. And we'll start and end with that. But when we learn to distinguish our souls, how our soul whispers to us, from the difference between that and the noise of the old programming, we're able to then reclaim our emotional sovereignty. And from that place, that's where that deep healing begins.
Yes. Beautiful. Thank you, Elizabeth. Beautiful. And KATHRYN, last parting word or line.
Yeah, probably just going back to what I said earlier, that all emotions are welcome. And just, it's better to have an uncomfortable 90 seconds and process those emotions and allow them to come up than to then keep holding on to it and impacting not only ourselves but future generations as well.
Yeah, or a lifetime of pain, right?
Yep, exactly.
Wow. Thank you so much, ladies. It's been an honor to be in your presence today. And I'd like to invite Sophie back in to share about Sacred You and what is available here in this beautiful community. I'm also a host, but we're moving into Wisdom Circles. I don't know where that's going to be spoken about, but I'm the host of Empowered You, and monthly Wisdom Circles. The Wisdom Circles will be starting in August, so I'm excited for that. Thank you, Sophia.
Thank you, Jo. It has been an honor. I've been sitting here listening to everyone. It is incredible. So thank you very much. And before we go very quickly, Jo, I'd love to know from you, what's your feeling about this, about the topic and everything else?
Oh my goodness. My feeling is gratitude. Gratitude for the work that we are privileged to do in the world to help and support others that need us, and emotions and limiting beliefs. And I'm a lifelong learner. I just want more and more. So bring it on, and people, yes, let's start getting comfortable with the uncomfortable, because that's where the healing is. And that's where we rise and create the life that we love, to create the life that we deserve while we're here. Like, we don't know what tomorrow is going to bring. So please embrace everything and start working with the emotions and what comes up for you.
Thank you. Thank you. And like I said, it's been an absolute honor having everyone here. Thank you so much for giving up an hour plus of your time. And for everyone who is watching or listening, do yourself a favor, click on the links below, reach out to these amazing women who have so much experience about just emotions and how we can make them part of our lives, but also overcome them, how we transcend our emotions. That's the thing. Thank you ever so much. And for everyone who is watching, click on the links below and check out Sacred You while you're there. It's Sacred You with the letter U.love. And if you put /join free, come and join us in our community, our own online village community, where we have so many wonderful live events, including panel discussions, including the wisdom circles that Jo mentioned that are starting very soon, and so much else. Click on the links and check it out. And again, thank you ever so much for joining us. It has been a real honor to be here today.
Lots of love, everyone.